Hey, Ashis is here.
Yeah, 1 second, Ashis.
Mhm.
Yeah, hi Raghu.
Hello.
Yeah, hi Raghu.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Good
Raghu,
afternoon.
Ashis joined the call. He applied for the job BI Analyst with the Tableau experience.
Tableau. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
you can take over the call, Raghu.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you, Ashis.
Thank you.
Ashish, how are you doing today?
Hi, Raghu. How are you?
Well, not bad. Not bad. Thanks for asking.
Good.
So this position is for Fannie Mae hybrid model, and they might require you to be in person for an interview. You're okay, right?
I am. Yeah, I live 15 minutes away from Reston.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Because I just wanted to make sure that if there is a chance and everything moves okay, we'll try to get shortlisted. And then if the interview is there, I would expect you to attend the interview in person. That's what I just
Perfect.
wanted to make sure. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Ashish, can you, I mean, it's consideration of time. Currently, you're working as a Tableau, engineer. How would your day start, and what would be a typical day?
Yeah, so my project with TIA ended on February, and yeah, at first it was I would start and then I would drive 30 minutes to get to the location, university area in North Carolina, and then I would book my seating arrangement last week, a week prior, and then that's how it was going, and that's how I established myself. And then it was remote. So from North Carolina, I moved to Northern Virginia. I'm at my parents' house.
Mhm.
And so no more driving, and I could actually give a lot more time to it, right? I would wake up and I would attend the meeting right away and do the things that I needed to do, and I would give 12 hours of my day just to see what's going on. Everything's working, the data is correct, the data is refreshed. So that is how it was, and there was a
Okay.
meeting every day with my boss. So log into your computer and then you join the meeting with your boss, sort of like a sprint, in the agile methodology. And we had bi-weekly meetings, or actually 2 meetings in a week with the leadership, where I would demo the dashboards that I would create. And it was 360, Tableau 360, from ETL to developing dashboard to admin of the Tableau server.
Okay. So how big was your team?
The,
You're working in, you mentioned Agile framework, right? Your sprint team, what was your size, I mean, sprint team size?
there were only 4 people.
Four
There was
people.
my boss
Okay.
and 2 juniors that used to work sort of like on my range, and Alan, which was the guy who would basically, he was like a business analyst. He would conduct all the meetings with the leadership.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So what was your sprint size? I mean, sprint cycle kind of thing, Ashish?
So the overall scope, let me tell you a little bit about the project. The project was about Jira Align, right? So our organization, TIA, everything was done, all the tracking and stuff was done through Jira Align. And the big chunk of the pie, the big project was to basically dissect every data from Jira Align and make report on the employee performance, which would be our resource allocation. The first year of the project, the scope was to basically do the ETL to get into a third-party warehouse that Jira Align had stored all its data, and then bring it into our data warehouse. We were using Oracle, and basically creating data and using Tableau to display the data. So we weren't typically confined to like sprints and stories and epics, that kind of stuff. We were just given our task and we would build reports on top of that. So we had deadline every week. That's how we started the work.
Okay. So what's the difference between extract and a live connection in Tableau?
Well, the textbook definition is live is something that's happening, and extract is the snapshot of the live data. So extract is stored, and live is directly connected to the warehouse or the database.
Okay. Have you used anything? I mean, you would have used extract frequently. Have you used live data? So live
so this is how it happens, right? So this is how it happens. So we need to get into the data warehouse to see what's going on in there, and we connect to the data warehouse using a live connection. That's a feature on Tableau. And what we do is we get the extract, and then we dump the extract on the Tableau server, and we could add advanced security, because we can't use advanced security on the live data because we don't have the permission to that data, but we have the permission to the snapshots of the data. So we use extracts, and it's also faster.
So what are LOD expressions? Have you used fixed, include, or exclude in your current project or in your past one?
Yeah, they're frequently used. So let's start off with LOD expression, because I've also done a demo. Level of detail expressions is like the name says, like LOD. And if I were to sort of alter it or explain it to you in like a SQL perspective,
in a generic way, you can put it in a generic way. No
okay. So it's like writing a code, right? So fixed, what it does is it doesn't change the underlying value when you apply a filter to it. I want to explain it more clear than that. So there are three types of LOD expressions, which is fixed, include, and exclude. And that works on the level of granularity. I'm speaking too much Nepalese with my parents, so I'm sort of forgetting my English here. We have used it mostly on components like maps. So you want to show your region, but you want to display the map on a state level. So you do is you assign a LOD expression to a dimension and an aggregate measure. So you write your LOD expression and you drag and drop onto a map. And so when you do like a fixed, and then you do a component of a map, let's say Virginia for state, and you give a semicolon and sum of sales, and you drag and drop into a map that's showing, let's say, regions, right? The final output would be the state level. So we are working on the level of detail. I'm not sure if that makes any clearer. And include and exclude is basically what dimension you want to, what level of detail you want to include or exclude from that expression.
Yeah. So you were picking up data from Jira and the mapping for your HR kind of dashboard, right? So have you used these things in your, and what problem did you solve by using?
Oh, absolutely. In Jira?
No, in Tableau.
Okay, so let me
you said you extract data from Jira, right? You said you put it to the data lake or warehouse, and then you extract and you churn those data to information for your HR department. That's, correct me if I'm wrong. That's what you said.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
Yeah. So if you have to use real LOD expressions and solve a business problem, you would have definitely solved for your HR.
Yeah, absolutely. So what comes to my mind right now is,
let me know.
Yeah. So there were a lot of dashboards, like there was one KPI dashboard that had pretty much everything right in one dashboard, right? Jira has a lot of things like your sprint and your epic, your stories and everything. And on the executive summary dashboard, we want to see month over month volatility or comparison, right? So on that dashboard, we have several different filters. And whenever a user clicks one filter, let's say, for example, a time filter, then things change. And we want certain metrics to not apply to that filter. So whenever a person clicks like a week or 2 week sprint, and the total of those 2 week sprint, we need certain values to change, but then certain metrics that's on a monthly level, we don't want them to change. So that's where we use a fixed LOD. So the filter that we're using doesn't apply to that LOD expression. So that's one simple form of explanation that I have done, but I have also created very advanced LOD expressions with case statement aligned, integrated into that LOD expression.
And I'm just curious, why was your team not using Jira dashboard? Because JQL pretty much, or Jira dashboard with widgets, they just pretty much covered everything. Why did you use Tableau for that?
Yeah, they didn't. So there were so many different micro tasks and things. So we wanted to have a velocity of a sprint. So, so that's like it shows you a default report what's going on, but then we wanted to have out of the box data, right? And a lot of the data was used to hire and terminate the employees. So Jira only gives you certain things. We wanted to dissect everything. We wanted to see past year versus this year, right? So Jira doesn't give you that. So we had to get to connect to the Jira Align, get an API, and extract all the data, metadata, everything, and then dump it into our data warehouse. And then we would go to business, and then we would have these meetings, and there we would gather a requirement, and then we would create SQL custom views, and that's how we got everything.
Okay. How would you optimize a slow Tableau dashboard, Ashish?
Yeah, so now I want to step into my previous role from Bank of America. So that was wow, that was a very big team, and we were supporting around 42,000 in Tableau users, and there were a lot of issues about slow performance of the dashboard. And I was working as a Tableau specialist doing the development and basically closing a lot of Jira tickets that were assigned to me. And a lot of the concerns was the slow dashboard and the dashboard not rendering. And so I had basically experience with going into seeing things from a Tableau desktop perspective and Tableau server perspective. So there's a lot of things going on in there. So a lot of the slow rendering dashboard had a lot of the filters that was not used properly inside the Tableau workbook. And I had to go dig into the Tableau workbook and remove a lot of things that were unnecessary and be clear on what kind of data we wanted to see, what time frame we wanted to see. So analysis is your data over time, right? So when data builds up over time, things tend to become slower. And a lot of the things from the server side, for example, sometimes the Tableau wouldn't work because after a server upgrade, the password that's embedded on the Tableau server side, which conducts the Tableau extract refresh, has been disconnected. So we had to go to our password repository, bring in that password, assign that password, and check if the extract refresh are rendering properly, and solve things. There were other issues like a lot of worksheets on a Tableau dashboard.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, there are so many things I can go on and on about it.
Okay. How can you rate yourself in SQL, Ashish? A scale of 10.
So I am sort of somewhere around 7.5. That's what I used to be before the AI. And now with AI, I think I can bump up to 9 because we were allowed to use sort of Microsoft Copilot into our organization, and then that just got rid of our SQL developer.
Yeah, okay, good. Thanks for being honest. So, a good programmer would know the better way to optimize his code, what AI throws up, right? So if you have to write a code, okay, to find a second highest salary from an employee table, okay, without using limit or top. So how would you put your query, and what is the sequence that you would like?
Yeah, so that's something I've done frequently, and we use a common table expression or a subquery, and I can't give you the exact syntax right now, but I would ask the AI to create some sort of framework for me to duplicate my entries in there or assign the correct columns. But that's how I would go about it. I would go finding the subqueries.
Okay, okay, gotcha. So any functional that you remember other than putting into AI?
Well, the methodology, right? So you want
Yeah,
to
I just
give
want to
them,
know the flow, I mean, usually
yeah. So
if
you
you
give
have
them a
AI,
role,
you
right?
definitely do it, but I just want to know what is the process that you would, or what is the flow that you would like to use your nested
So
queries?
you would want to order them by the max, right? And then you would want to pull the second value out of that. And you could row them and then assign your subquery to pull the second highest.
Okay, so you either use rank, dense, rank.
Mhm.
Okay, gotcha. If you have to
Yeah.
use, um, you know, uh, inner, I mean, can you just tell me what's the difference between inner join, left join, and full outer join? Obviously, you'll go to AI if you have to write a query with that, but I just want to make sure that you should know
Yeah,
what
no,
is
that's
what it
something
is.
like beginners, like no, like that's even before AI. So joins, right? So what we're doing is we're finding common things to join on first of all, and left join. I've created so many dashboards with left join. It's sort of like a data blending on Tableau. So whenever we do a left join, it populates the two tables, and whatever the value that's not on the other table, it throws a null, right? So everything, the empty columns would render as null. And inner join is it finds the common in those two values, and it doesn't throw null, but it only, like a Venn diagram, whatever is
Yeah.
common, it represents those values. And full outer join is basically combining the full joins. There are null on each side, and it would populate a table with null on each table. That's not common values, or that
Okay,
doesn't
gotcha,
correspond.
gotcha. So if you have to gather and elicit a few of the business stakeholders, okay, who are not technical, and the business stakeholder would like to come up with a BI dashboard. He might ask XYZ, whatever it is. He wants to see KPI, he wants to see velocity, he wants to see how the team is performing, what is the burning rate, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you have the widgets and you have the Jira dashboard. Other than that, whatever you would be asking additional things. Hey, I want it in Tableau. So Ashish is being asked to elicit and talk to this business stakeholder and get the requirement and get the sign off. What are the things that Ashish would make sure everything is captured, have a sign off?
Yeah, so there are multiple meetings. I cannot get right away from my first meeting, and all the meetings that I have done, it actually starts very casual, like how is the day going and everything. Try to build that rapport, and then once we get on the flow, and then I open up my notepad and I start typing, and then sort of create an illustration right in front of what the leadership wants to see. And these things it can be like a mathematical formula, because they are sort of expert on their domain knowledge, and I don't know what they do on their day-to-day basis. So I have to be very sure that I know everything that they're talking about, and how the filters need to be applied. There are several things they want: a date range. You need this employee, he was doing this and this over here, but he was not doing this and this over here on this day and this date range from this department. So everything the person is talking about, I'm not just having a conversation with him. I'm sort of going through everything and filling all the boxes on my side. So that is how it starts, and I don't get it right away. It's an iterative process, and whatever the thing that I have gotten from him, I start designing and building right away. And then the next approach, I show him, so this is kind of what I got, and am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right job? And that is when I want him to give me constructive criticism and advice on how I should proceed further.
Okay, so if a stakeholder has asked you one thing and you have delivered another, when you go back and he says, hey, Ashish, this is not what I asked for. So how would you handle that situation?
Yeah, that has happened often. So that's why I like to have frequent meetings. So I don't wander off in my own imagination and I create the near final product. I like to go by step. So this is kind of what I got, and this is the data that I got on my end. Would you check and see if that data is correct from your end? And so they go on their spreadsheet, I go on my data warehouse, and I go on my dashboard, and the things if it doesn't match, then we have to find what's the flaw. Am I getting the business logic correctly? And sort of spend more time on that and work on that.
So, so how would you conduct yourself in that particular interview with the stakeholder? What are the things? I mean, is there any example that you can just tell me? You met this particular XYZ, and this is what happened.
So a lot of the heavy lifting was done by my boss, Brian, over at TIA. He was the guy who was bringing in the funding for the project, right? And I would explain about the Tableau things, but I would sort of jump into some HR lady, I forgot her name, and yeah, and then she would sort of try to guide me through the process there, and a lot of it was applying filters. And I would create a SQL query, and I would pull her into the meeting, and then she had knowledge of the SQL, so she would assist me on that. But what you're saying, it really brings me back to Bank of America, where I would face all kinds of tickets, tickets not pertaining to my role. There were so many issues. Like, for example, this one lady, Grace, she had so there was this Tableau dashboard. When she would work on her computer, everything was misaligned. Everything was jittery. And when she would give me that dashboard, and when I would work on my laptop, everything worked properly, right? So there's so many components. Tableau has these bugs on her. It had a bug on her laptop, and she would see certain things her way. So I had a hard time explaining it to her. But most of the people that I've worked with kind of think I was a chill guy, fun guy, funny, and yeah, they would bear with me. So I haven't had anybody like really upset about the way I handled things.
Okay. Have you used PrepFlow?
Tableau Prep?
Yeah.
We use Alteryx as our like prep flow. Yeah, but I have also used Tableau Prep.
Okay. Can you give me an instance where either use PrepFlow or Alteryx, whatever tool that you would do? Can you give me an example?
Yeah, so I have created a basic flow myself, workflow on Alteryx, and it was relating the server data. And so basically everything that we would do on SQL, it had a visual interface. And so I can't really create these very complex and I actually don't remember all the tools that we use, right? So obviously you have your start point and your end point, and whatever things that happens in between. It's just like using a SQL query. And I did a lot of joins on Tableau Alteryx. And at Bank of America, we could publish the data right into the Tableau server from the Alteryx. So that's why we use that. But with Tableau Prep, I used it because it was a new thing, and I was curious, and I remember removing duplicate columns and mass renaming things, and obviously doing the joins.
Have you used Python in BI context?
In AI context?
BI context.
Yeah. So I started with Java, right? My college programming days. So it's basically very similar. It's a programming language, and the same old song and dance. You have a Jupyter notebook to write your codes, and you import all these different libraries to make things happen. Unfortunately,
what would be the library that you'd use for data prep?
On NumPy, that was one of the things that I can remember on top of my head. And I remember,
Pandas.
Pandas, yeah.
Okay. Have you used any API integration to pull data?
Yeah, so I did not create the API because I don't have that sort of knowledge, but a lot of things were freeware on the data warehouse that we were pulling the data from, and we would just tweak a few things here and there, credentials, and then use Tableau to process that API and import data.
Okay. How would you, when would you recommend someone to use Tableau over BI, Power BI?
Well, in my case, I got certification on Tableau, so that would be my bread and butter, right? But I also have the knowledge of using Power BI. Power BI is good in data modeling. Tableau doesn't have that sort of capability. So that's one thing I found Power BI better than Tableau is in the data modeling.
Nice talking to you, Ashish. It was a pleasure to exchange knowledge and information with you. I don't have further questions. Do you have any before we close the call?
I don't. Yeah, this was a screening call. I don't think you have much knowledge on what kind of a team I'm getting into, or the domain knowledge or things. So yeah, it was really nice talking to you. Already 3:10. Time flew by fast.
Yes, definitely. Okay then. Thank you. Have a nice day.
All right. Thank you, Raghu. Yeah,
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, Ashish.
Thank you.